Sam, Marco Rossi. What do you think of him?
Well, I'm really hopeful for what he's going to be able to bring to the table this year. If not in Minnesota, then in the American Hockey League. But here's a guy that, goes through his Ontario Hockey League a couple of years ago, scores 120 points, wins the CHL Top Scorer Award, most outstanding player in the Ontario Hockey League. And he looked at that point, based on his workouts, that he'd be able to transition right away to the National Hockey League. Well, he goes to the World Juniors, he comes off of the World Juniors, and they realize, oh my gosh, this guy's got COVID. And as a result of the COVID issues, myocarditis was the issue that really kept him off his skates for 5.5 months. And it was really scary for this guy for a long time. He was able to get back into the Olympic qualification games for Austria and then get into a couple of more games. And so now it looks like he's back on track. They have to be really careful with his health, obviously. But at his best, this guy's a two-way center. He wins draws. He's really strong on his skates. And I think the fact that he has much more appreciation for things now after what he's gone through with COVID is going to make him a guy that's really going to be driven and motivated by that to play in the National Hockey League. I love this player in his draft year. I hope he's healthy enough because Minnesota fans will be really excited about what he has to bring to the table.
And I love that you say you love this guy, because the guy that I'm going to talk about now, of all 50 of these, this is the guy I'm hitching my wagon to. I want to watch really closely. It's Nils Lundkvist. And some might call him Lundkvist. Some may say Lundkvist. Most people call Hank the King. This kid's going to be the prince. He's going to be the prince. I'm telling you. That's how good this kid is. I've been waiting for a while, and the D-Corps in New York has been very strong in the depths and the prospects and the guys that are there now. But here's a kid right now. He's going to be third pair D right now, I think, with Patrick Nemeth. And he's really excelled playing in Sweden against men. So he has that ability, right? He knows how to play against the bigger, the stronger guys. And I think he has that ability to run PP1. The only problem for him right now is the reigning Norris Trophy winner is running PP1 right now in New York. But this is a good problem, I guess, if you're New York Rangers to have, because he's that good where his value is going to come up. You already got Adam Fox, and you got this D-Corps. The Rangers have some pieces that can be really interesting, whether it's on Broadway or moving on and getting some big assets later on. But I love this kid. Can't wait to see him in New York.
When you say you're hitching your wagon to him, that gets our attention.
I'm going to stay up here in Canada. I'm going to go over here to Winnipeg, because Winnipeg's got a good one here in Cole Perfetti. And I'm going to even say to the point where this team has moved Patrick Laine, we know that, and they don't lack goal scoring. But they can do those types of moves because they have this in the pipeline. This kid can flat out play. I'm excited to see him when he gets to Winnipeg. And the big thing for me is he excelled in the American League this past year, right? So I would have actually been happy with what it said. He was kind of getting his feet wet. He had 8 points in his first 18 games, but then all of a sudden he turned it up a couple dials, couple notches, 18 points in the final 14 games. So that screams to me, give him a little bit of time. He'll figure it out. He can score. And, Sam, we were talking about earlier, you had him as high as 4 in that draft. And I was asking, I'm pretty sure there was other people who had him going a little higher than even 10. So that's a little bit of a steal for the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets are absolutely giddy having this kid in their system, and he'll be a good one.
Very intriguing. I was also intrigued when I heard you say in an earlier discussion, you talked about this class, this group being a hybrid class in terms of size and the way that they play. Please expound.
Well, over the last 3 to 5 years, we've all heard about this new age defenseman, this smaller guy, the puck-moving guy, the speedster. And while those players are obviously have a lot of value to their teams and they do good things when it comes to the regular season, if you go back and you look at the average height and size of these Stanley Cup winning teams, you're seeing big, heavy, hard to play against, guys who will lean on you type of defenseman. And I really think about this 2021 Lightning team. David Savard for a first-round pick. Everyone's looking at Julian Breezeball. What are you doing? Well, he turns out to play that 5th, 6th defenseman absolutely perfectly, really tough to play against. And now I think when you're seeing these guys with size who can also put up points, that's kind of the A target you have, as opposed to worrying about this new age defenseman, the 5'9" guy who skates like the wind, the Mo Siders, the Thomas Harleys. These are the type of guys that we're talking about that will lead you to a Stanley Cup.
I love that point there, Sam, because when you're looking at, I think you got to have a very diverse D-Corps in the National Hockey League right now to have success. You need those smaller puck-moving, quick guys because it's so hard to score in the league now. You have to have that D being another forward joining. You got to have that mindset. Connect the dots from the forward to the D-man. But Sam nailed it on the head right there. You come playoff time. I mean, I'm looking at last year's Stanley Cup Finals. I'm seeing who Montreal has on the back end. I'm seeing who Tampa has on the back end. Big boys. So, it's a blend of both, and you've got to have that if you're going to have success right now.
And that Savard guy assisted on the cup-clinching goal. Well done, Julien Brisebois. And we are thrilled to welcome in the number 40 prospect on our list, Cam York. First things first. It was on this network that Team USA upset Canada for World Junior Gold. You're a national treasure. How do you reflect back on that moment? What does it mean to you now, all these months later?
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously one of the craziest hockey memories of my entire career. I know for all of us, it was just a super special opportunity. And anytime you go to a big tournament like that, you always want to come out on top and win it. And, the guys pulled through, and it's something that we'll never forget for the rest of our lives.
Cam, I think that we should probably start getting used to having players come from, I guess, quote unquote, non-hockey hotbeds. But we see it all the time. Like it keeps, and the fact that you're from California, I think is a tremendous part of the story here. And then I just want to know, what was some of those moments, right? Some of the moments that got you hooked on hockey, and also here that you had Scott Niedermayer is being your coach out there, and that probably doesn't help doesn't hurt the process. Certainly helps the process.
Yeah, I mean, obviously out in California, like hockey or football, baseball, stuff like that is what kids normally play at at a young age. And for me, I just wanted to do something different. I started out playing roller hockey and then switched to ice, and it just kind of took off from there. But obviously, like you said, having Scott Niedermayer as a coach helps a lot, and he's given me a lot of really good tips and helping points to help me out throughout my career. So I owe a lot to him.
Hey, Cam, Sam Cosentino up here in Canada. You're killing me with the World Juniors, by the way, but congratulations. Unbelievable performance. But what I want to talk about a little bit is, you're at Michigan for 2 years. You see what's going on there, a wealth of riches. Was the decision to turn pro difficult at all for you, knowing what might be on the horizon with Michigan this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've got a really good group there this year, obviously, and I had so much fun there. It was probably the best years of my life. I think anyone that leaves Michigan early, they all think the same thing. Like, it's one of the hardest decisions of your life. And, I have a lot of buddies there still, and they're always sending me videos and stuff. And it always looks like a ton of fun. But I don't know, I'm on to bigger and better things, and excited for what's ahead here for me.
So speaking of the bigger and better things, you get into a couple of games with the Flyers. When you look at your time spent there in Lehigh Valley, is there a particular mentor or someone that's really helped you out to help you make that transition and to continue to make that transition here this year?
Oh, well, for me, I had Scott Gordon as my coach. He's not there anymore, but he was really helpful to me, and, just preaching, having fun with the game, and, do what got you here. Obviously, you're a special player, and just go out and have fun and just kind of do what you do. And I did that, and, it ended up working out for me. So
the Flyers got themselves a high-character guy. Congratulations. We wish you all the best. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So let me mention all the Florida Panther goalies who won their debut. Spencer Knight. And that's it. He's a history maker, all right. 6'3", 192, left-handed catch. But what I want to ask you about, Rupper, is this. You're down 3-1 in the first round. It's the Sunshine State Showdown. The reigning Stanley Cup champs have you on the brink of elimination. You're Joel Quenneville, number 2 all-time in wins. You've got a goalie who's got as much experience as Tony Luffman. Do you put him in? And then he beats the Tampa Bay Lightning, who go on to back-to-back crowns? Are you serious?
That's why no words need to be said about the guy. You could tell by the way that the Florida Panthers view him. and putting him in that position, and the way that everybody holds him as far as in high regard and what he could do. And I'm going to say this, and this is for future shows, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it in leading months. He's going to be on the U.S. Olympic team. Like, this guy's going to be a third goalie on that team. I firmly believe that. Why? Because he's the future of USA Hockey. Sam, I'm sorry to talk USA Hockey once again. You're never going to want to work with me again in tone, but that's the truth. That's how good this kid is, and that's why the Florida Panthers are in a good spot, because I think Sergei Bobrovsky's going to bounce back. I think he's an absolute professional in the way he approaches his game. But if he doesn't find it fully, well, that means that Spencer Knight took the job, and he's ready now to run with this. So having him 3 on this list and what he's done in his very short NHL career is nothing short of absolutely unbelievable, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, Sam, unbelievable is a good word for it, because there were so many firsts. How much of this did you see coming? Because you watch these guys year after year after year. For Spencer Knight, this was the 3rd straight time he was on the World Junior team for Team USA.
He checks all the boxes. First of all, it's size. There's a lot of teams in the National Hockey League that won't draft a goaltender unless he's 6'2" or above. Spencer Knight checks that bill. Then you talk about the calmness. Putting a bad goal behind you, putting a bad game behind you. No problem doing that. You talk about the mental acuity, the focus that he has when he gets in the net, that singular focus to take care of the job at hand. And then the last thing, and maybe most importantly of all of these things, is the athleticism that this big guy brings to the table. So he checks all the boxes for a National Hockey League goalie. You know, a lot of times people are, well, when do you draft a goalie? In my opinion, the best time to draft a goalie is when you have one. So you got Bobrovsky to that long-term deal. Then you draft Spencer Knight, and you give him the time to develop properly. And if he pushes the issue, as Spencer Knight did, well, then go ahead, give him that opportunity. But now he's in that great competition with Bobrovsky. He's going to learn from a pro like you talked about, Rupper, and I think the future is extremely bright for this young man. On another point, they moved Devin Levi, who was great for Canada at the World Junior. Sorry to get my Hockey Canada stuff in there, guys. As a result of Spencer Knight's great progression and the long-term deal with Bobrovsky, they're set for a long time at this position.
That gold medal game was special. You had Levi at one end, Knight at the other. What a memorable World Juniors. It's time to move to number 2. Revealed. Number 2.
He's the number 2 overall pick in 2020. Let him get out there and play. It's a big man with great hands. Look at that. The pull and drag, that's a rare combination to have.
He's going to be put in a position to succeed. He's going to come in with lots of excitement. He's going to get in hard in the forecheck.
When he gets the puck in the middle of the ice, he wants it, he demands it, and he can skate. He works hard. He works on little extra things that he knows is going to make him an NHL player for a long, long time.
He is the future of the Los Angeles Kings.
When I hear Kings and big man with good hands and center, I think of a certain Slovenian who is beloved in Los Angeles and will always be, Anže Kopitar. Byfield was the 2nd overall pick in 2020. Tremendously high hopes for such a young player. You see that he was a point a game at the 2021 World Juniors. What impresses you the most, Sam, about Byfield?
Well, it's the maturity. And when I looked at this guy, physically mature, no problem at all. But I just think as a younger player, and you think back to the draft class, you know, he was almost a full year younger than Alexis Lafreniere. But when you look at Byfield, man, you talk about the size, you talk about the ability to skate, has really good hands. What I think was great about his progression last year was the fact that he goes to the World Juniors under Andre Tournier. He's asked to play a different role. So the points were hard to come by, more of a checking role. Let's play heavy, let's play hard, let's get into the corners, and let's do some things utilizing that size. And then he gets to the Ontario Reign, and now that skill starts to come out. He gets mentored, he gets to play in the Pro League as opposed to having to go back to Sudbury where he's pretty much done all that he could do. And now he starts to write his own story. You know, puts up a good point production with the Ontario Reign, and now you're seeing what LA is so excited about. The size, the strength, the fact he can play down the middle of the ice. Yes, he can transition to the wing if you need him to. Sometimes that happens for a young player. But the skill set and the size, that package rarely comes together the way it has come together for Quinton Byfield.
The fit here with the LA Kings, and I'll even go to the Chicago Blackhawks and Kirby Dach, was awesome because you've got those guys, right? You've got Jonathan Toews. You've got Anze Kopitar. Like, this is, be a sponge. You're going to get there. I know everyone's talking about that, and it's been something we've talked about a long time. You just did it off the top here when you're talking about big, rangy centers. I mean, you could take your time a little bit more. I mean, he'll be there playing, but he doesn't have to be put in with the big responsibility. Those guys will do it. How do they carry themselves? I mean, you're talking about some of the best locker room leaders in professional. The way they approach their game is unbelievable. So both those guys, I mean, Kirby Dach and, of course, Quinton Byfield's in a fantastic position here. And I love it because I think this kid he's got that size. And usually it takes a little bit more time, I think, for those bigger guys to get around and get to their full strength and to be that full player they'll be at the National Hockey League level. But this kid's well on his way. When
we see Rob Blake and we see Luc Robitaille, they're smiling often. They have a deep prospect pool. Sam, I know you are impressed with what they've got in the pipeline.
Yeah, you can't forget about Mark Yannetti and even Mike Futa when he was working with the LA Kings. The job they did on the amateur side was simply amazing. Rob Blake has to do the work to be able to acquire all the picks and the assets to do it. But you start with Byfield, unbelievable year. Turcotte, great expectations for him down the middle of the ice. Brandt Clark is that type of defenseman who plays with all kinds of moxie. He's all over the ice. The guy that I really love here is Rasmus Kupari. He got into 3 World Juniors, got hurt in his last one and only played 1 game. But don't sleep on Arthur Kallio. This guy was an absolute snipe show with the Hamilton Bulldogs in the Ontario Hockey League. But getting back to Kupari, I like the fact that he's a right shot. He's got size. He skates well. And I think when you look at the internal competition created by that group and others, it really bodes well for the LA Kings because that internal competition tends to be a great motivator, and the cream tends to rise to the top when you have that situation.
Fascinating to take a peek inside as we look at the notable Ducks and Kings prospects, their draft year, pick selection. There's a real sense in Southern California that these teams are on the rise and could be on the rise in a hurry. Rupper, do you share that opinion?
Oh, yeah. Both these two teams are on the rise, and I expect actually in that division, they can make it interesting, both these two teams, as far as do I think they're going to make the playoffs or one of them make the playoffs? They have that opportunity to in that division. Tone, you know this being a California guy. What's the highway between Anaheim and L.A.? You know, is it 5? Or what is it?
5, you can go 405.
Okay, yeah, whatever highway it is. Man, that thing is going to be on fire because this rivalry, I mean, how close it is, it's just going to be great. I love when you see teams like this that are getting good at the right time. And you could argue the same thing's happening across the United States and New York here. You've got this Rangers team on the rise. The Islanders are great now, and the Devils are on the rise. It doesn't happen often where both teams and those rivalries are great at the same time. I'm excited for both Anaheim and LA.
I really like, and you've made this point before, that you've called it age appropriate, that the way that the talent is dispersed really serves the team well. Ducks top prospects and the bright future for Bob Murray's club, Rupper and Sam, in this cap era. To be able to sign big ticket items, you've got to get production out of these players. Talk us through the mindset of a GM.
You got to add assets.
Yeah, big benefit there.
You got to bring these pieces in, right? And they've got some really nice pieces here in Anaheim, and it's about growing together. And that's the thing I love. This group is coming up. That team, it's age appropriate. And I've said the same thing, and Ducks fans aren't going to want to hear this. I said the same thing about the LA Kings. I feel like the core of the group, it's all age appropriate. And I think that's really important.
Atop our list, he's number 1. Trevor Zegras, and what an achievement. You knew earlier in the show that the last 3 guys to top the list were the number 1 overall selections in their draft year. You can see the numbers he put up coming down the stretch. He was feeling it for the Ducks. It's a thrill to welcome Trevor Zegras to the show. Only one player can be number 1 on this list. It's you. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's really cool. I mean, there's so many great young players nowadays, and especially all the great young players coming up right now. I mean, I'm pretty close with a bunch of those guys, and yeah, no, it's definitely an exciting feeling for sure.
Trev, you're a hell of a player. That's why you're number 1. But we got something that I put together here for you why you're number 1 on my list. And check this out.
Like I said, I honestly don't think they've been tested with a real team yet, and I think we're kind of going on all cylinders right now, and I think we're going to catch it by surprise, and I think we'll go from there.
I love it. Next time, Nate, listen, I'm gonna give you my number. Next time you're gonna give a Mark Messier-esque guarantee. I want glass breaking, going up, a little WWE style. But I love that. I was working in studio here with Tone, and I was like, oh my God, I was walking around the studio like, they got this. They got this. So let me take you, I'll be a little more serious now. So that needed to be said, I feel like, but I'm not in that locker room. So if you could take us back in that locker room, did you kind of pass that message on to the team? Did somebody? Because this was kind of like, you're talking about one of the best all-time teams in Team Canada coming into that finals.
Man, that is too funny. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of our mindset going in. Like, I mean, it's probably a little different for like the 01s because we've kind of been going at that group with U18s, and obviously we lost in the bronze medal game, and we wanted our gold medal, and we were just so focused on that game. And I know that was just something that we were talking about, and I thought we were all kind of thinking it, but I guess maybe I just said it, but it didn't even resonate with me that that's kind of what I was going with until after the game, which is pretty funny. But I'm glad how it all worked out, and I mean, it helps when your goalie pitches a shutout in the gold medal game. So, but no, definitely a pretty cool moment for sure.
Oh, well, I'm wiping away my tears from that one. Sorry, Trevor, but good to see you again, man. And, you know, there was a lot of debate last year. You go into the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League, a little bit of that back and forth. Is he a center? Is he a winger? Do we need to play him on the wing at first? I just want to get your thoughts on the positional play and how much different it is and how much more responsibility there is in the middle of the ice when you get to the National Hockey League after the great career you had at the program.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think my brain's wired a little bit more towards being a center. I think when I was on the wing, I was just thinking a little too much about what kind of spot I needed to be in or who I was covering in the D zone. But when I'm a center, I feel like I kind of have responsibility all over the ice. And I love carrying the puck with speed through the middle and being able to distribute on my forehand and my backhand. So for me, it's kind of just all mental. And I think it just frees me up a little bit when I'm in the center of the ice.
You broke the swag meter with that arrival interview. Thank you so much for joining us. It was so fun. Congrats on being number one.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.